Good morning. It is Friday, June 26, 2020. I'm back here in bed from bed with bed talk number 70. That's right, 70. That gives you a pretty good indication of how long we've been in the coronavirus pandemic, at least where I am. And today's topic, I think, will be pretty short. We'll see how it goes. I want to talk about the difference between, or the decision we often need to make, or I'm encouraging you to make, between replacing and sharpening. Replacing and sharpening. So here's what I was thinking about. Stephen Covey, great writer, great thought leader, his fabulous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of those chapters, and one of the habits, I believe it was an actual chapter, I'm going from memory, was how important it is to sharpen the saw, which is really about constantly working on yourself, working on processes. Basically, this is another example in my mind or my memory of working on the business, not in the business, whatever it is you're involved in, whether you own a business or not. So it's about this need to constantly sharpen. In fact, I don't know if it's folklore or true, but I have a memory that there's a story out there with Abraham Lincoln who said something very similar, which is before you go to cut the tree, you got to sharpen the axe. So it was all about sharpening. And what I realized just in the last couple of days is I think often that's our whole focus is sharpening. But I'm starting to believe that more often than not, we actually need to replace the saw or the axe. And I don't mean just replace it because it's old, but not because it can't be sharpened anymore, because that does happen to an axe and a saw, but really because we actually need a different saw instead of a sharpened old saw or a sharpened old way of thinking, right? And so I guess that's the thing, is to be more conscious of when we need to make a change. Our default, I think, is often to sharpen whatever needs sharpening, get things a little better, which is, I believe in that sometimes that's the best way to change things, just make it a little better. There's the 1% rule, make it 1% better every day, and where does that take you? But I'm really starting to embrace the idea of getting another saw, getting another tool. And I was thinking about this specifically in the last week or so. I was doing a webinar for a human resources group, and I was talking about the idea of leadership. And one of the things I said is that often in leadership, people are trying to sharpen the leader's tools. And I said, often that leader actually needs another tool, a new tool, sometimes a whole new set of tools. And I think that's very true because times have changed. I don't mean just in the last few months or even the last few years. I think what it took to lead effectively 20, 30, even 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, isn't true today. The workforce has changed. Our world has changed. And it's going to take a different set of tools, or more specifically, a whole new saw. So that's it for today. Bed Talk number 70. To think about, does it need sharpened, or do we actually need to replace it with something new, something different, something more relevant, and perhaps scary to make that change, but it's what's needed. So replace over sharpen. Keep taking care of yourself and those you care about, and by all means stay connected. And I will see you on Monday, and have a fabulous weekend.